How would you feel if I told you that I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing? What's up, everyone? Episode 5 of the Rise and Grind pod, and my first solo episode. I want to mix in solo episodes once in a while. It's not going to be very often. We got a bunch of guests lined up in the weeks to come, but probably once every couple months I'll be doing these solo episodes just to chat about what's on my mind, and hopefully I can drop little nuggets that you can maybe learn from, or at least have some proactive thoughts on. I think a lot of good ideas or a lot of changes just come from taking other information and sitting on it for a bit and thinking about how it applies. And a lot of which I'm going to share through these solo episodes, especially today, is learning from mistakes, failures, and everything in between. And what I wanted to talk about today is 5 hacks to a productive life. And I have them listed out here. And doing this podcast, launching this podcast, I've deployed all of these hacks. And that's why I opened this up with, I kind of don't know what I'm doing, but I'm very comfortable in that space. And I've been doing things that make me uncomfortable for a very, very long time. And I've developed either, rip off and duplicated these hacks, or kind of built these hacks up on my own dime, and tried and tested them. And I want to share them with you. And the first one is what I call a 60% rule. I do not know where I heard this from. I might have ripped it off from maybe something Dan Martell said. Dan Martell has a great book out there called Buy Back Your Time. If you're an entrepreneur, I highly recommend you buy that or listen to it. But the 60% rule comes in really handy when I'm doing something that is video related. For example, this podcast, or a post for social media, or if I'm writing out a post. And I believe this hack is rooted in the concept of we are our own worst critic. Meaning, we're going to be way harder on ourselves when we re-listen or re-watch something that we've created, or we review something that we've created. We're going to be our worst critic. And so what I've lived by is, if I think something that I've done is 60% good, meaning 6 out of 10 in my mind, I have to execute it on it. I have to press submit. I have to click post. In the real estate world, especially with agents, not only new agents, but seasoned agents, I think social media plays a big role in it. And there's always this fear of getting on video and flipping your phone around and taking a video and talking about something. And you just get paralyzed by fear, and paralyzed by, I said or I paused, or I screwed something up a little bit, or the text isn't right at the bottom of my videos, I need to fix that. I'm like, fuck that, just post it. You need to get 1,000 videos under your belt before you sound remotely good. And guess what? By the way, if it's not good, no one's going to see it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So that's where that 60% rule really comes in handy for me, because I will start to nitpick things with content, with these podcasts. And then I always think in my back of my mind, like, it's 6 out of 10 good. No one's going to realize it. It's probably actually 8.5 or 9 out of good, 9.5 out of 10 good. And that's plenty good enough. And that other little bit, well, it's going to take exponentially longer to fix that. So it's not worth it. Just click post. And I think there's like this beauty about not being perfect, not being totally polished, that people can relate to, especially on social. Because I think there's a lot of highlight reels that I know, guys, is just not reality. Okay, I know that to be true. I've been behind the scenes in enough businesses to know that. So that 60% rule comes in handy. It's something that I think about literally every single day, and it forces me to execute on things and to shuffle things forward and to just click that go button. Final piece about content is, I've learned that I have no idea if something is going to be, quote, good or not on social. I don't know if it's going to have exponential reach. I'll spend more time or try to make a video fancy, and it'll get a couple likes. My mom will like it, my great aunt will like it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like literally this did not land well. And then on the flip side, I'll do something where I'm like, oh, this isn't very valuable. This is just really quick. And then that one gets a bunch of reach. So I also know like that 60% rule is there. So I just continue to be in action, continue to hit submit, continue to act on things and get things done. Because at the end of the day, the audience is the only one that really matters. That's the feedback loop. So the second hack to a productive life, I have it written down here. And I will B-roll this. I'll take a photo of this and put this on the podcast so you know that I'm actually practicing this as we go. Number 2, preparation is the killer of progress. I'll read that again. Preparation is the killer of progress. When I started to get into the coaching space, which I'm not in anymore, I had a lot of anxiety, fear, worry about like, oh gosh, I gotta go on stage, or I have to present, or I have to run a training. And I look to people like my boss Courtney, who does a ton of content, ton of training. If you ever been to a live event with Courtney, he brings a really good energy on stage. And I leaned on him. I'm like, how do you do all this? Like, it doesn't make sense. I want to like dive into my PowerPoint and like figure out exactly everything I'm going to say. And he encouraged me to like not prepare at all. Like, okay, you got an 11 o'clock training. You have to run on Zoom with 30 people, bunch of agents. You're not allowed to prep. I'll give you 5 minutes before. And the thought of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do that. I want to make a 20 slideshow presentation, and I want to figure out exactly what I'm going to say and practice it and spend a bunch of hours. And he legitimately just did not allow me to do that. And it was terrifying, if I'm being completely honest. And once I got over that hurdle, what ended up happening, quite honestly, guys, is I started to trust myself. I knew the information that I wanted to relay. And the less I prepared, the more I came off as myself, the more authentic I came off with. So if you're like in a sales, well, I guess in my opinion, we're all kind of in sales. We're living human beings. You know, we have to sell ourselves either on ourselves or on other people. Don't think like preparation or time is the answer. Because I would say if you need to prepare a bunch, you really don't know what you're talking about. Some of the best speakers, we were at an event in Toronto, and Kevin O'Leary was the keynote speaker. Everyone knows Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. And he's actually not as big of a dick in person or in live events than I thought he was going to be. He was really kind, and his presentation was amazing. And it's funny, we had like this weekend-long event where a bunch of speakers went up and talked, and they were pitching their products. We were one of them. And Kevin goes up. The guy's got a 1-slide presentation. That's it. I took a picture of it, and he talks about what makes a good pitch. And there's literally just 3 bullet points, and that was it. Like, that guy knew his stuff. He didn't want people looking at a slideshow. He didn't want to sound rehearsed. He wanted to speak what was going on currently in the world and what he thought would relate to the audience. And a lot of times you don't know that until you press the go button and put yourself out there. So I always think of preparation isn't always a good thing. I think of this same as in golf. Like, I hate practice rounds. Like, at the end of the day, let's get the ball in play. Let's go play golf. I don't need to prepare for 3 days prior to, because I'm going to get burnt out. You need to keep the fun in it. So whatever you do in life, don't think about preparing or spending time is the best thing. I'm not saying don't do it, but encourage yourself, or at least weed yourself off of preparing so that you do feel uncomfortable. And I think that's where the growth is. So we're kind of, by the way, stacking on these hacks, because preparation is the killer of progress also kind of has that 60% rule baked into it. It makes me get into action. It makes me not get into the weeds on things. And now the third hack, which we lead into of the 5 hacks for a productive life, is to lean into fear. And that probably sounds a little fluffy. You probably see that. It sounds like an Instagram post or something. But the more that I realize that our brains are wired in prehistoric times, our software of our brains is literally meant to just keep us alive, the more exposure I have to think about how big of a scam that actually is. And I think it's a good thing to have those feelings of insecurity, those feelings of fear, those feelings of being unsettled. And we're brought up in a society, and I think just in the software of our brains, for that uncomfortable feeling or that negative feeling, for us to like want to run away from that. And I think at least from my exposure to highly successful people, they live in that space. They actually encourage to sit in that space, and they don't run away from it. They might get used to it. It's like a new agent. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, well, if you ever don't feel overwhelmed, like, let me know how you do that, because like that's just the industry, right? There's a good scene in in Landman, if you guys have watched Landman, and it's the main character talking to his boss, and his boss basically sternly reminds him that they live in a business of constant chaos with brief moments of non-stressful events. And I think that was a good way to kind of put it. As a good show, but I really like that scene. And I'm not saying you need to live a stressful life, but when those things do pop up, don't run away from them, because I think there's growth there as well. I think when we feel fearful or we want to retreat, sometimes doing nothing is the best, and just sitting in it will get you some answers. And I'm hoping that's what this solo pod helps you guys out with. If you're struggling with something, maybe it's a little bit of a hack or just some encouragement to be like, hey, it's okay, it's fine. Just take a couple days. Don't do anything good or bad about it. Just sit in it, think about it, go for a walk, get some solitude in your life. Solitude meaning like turn off your phone, go out for a walk, work out. Just think about it. Don't run from it. Don't judge it being good or bad. Just let it be in your mind, and just acknowledge like, hey, yes, my brain is meant to keep us alive. Okay, that's a great thing. But that might not be the best thing for you or your family or whatever decision you're trying to make. So, fourth hack is have a North Star. And this is something that that I know to be true 1,000%. And it's if you guys have ever read the book Traction, this is where this idea kind of comes up. Traction is a book that talks about an entrepreneurial system of doing business. It's called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And Traction is the book that talks about it. So EOS is basically a framework that you can deploy into your business. It tells you when to have meetings, what to have them about. They have agenda, topic items. They have this is how you brainstorm. This is how often you need to do this. It has takeaway. Like, it basically is just the framework, plug and play, that you can put into business. Side note, I really don't like EOS. I was in my former career, it was very much a structured EOS type business. But I get that it can be a very, very good structure for bigger companies. I think if you're a smaller company, you need to shift and move a little bit quicker than what EOS lends itself to. But I think it's a good book because you can pull nuggets out just like this. So EOS is, I forget exactly what they call it, but I think of it like as a North Star. So the easiest way to explain this is with an example. We all know what Southwest Airlines is, right? If I were to ask you, like, hey, what does Southwest Airlines brand itself on? The answer is very simple. It's cheap. It's the cheapest airline to get a flight, especially in the States. Like, if you want to go to Phoenix to San Antonio, like, you want to hop on Southwest because it's a couple $100. Like, it's dirt cheap. But that's how they brand themselves. So think of it, they know to their roots, they are a cheap airline service provider, and they're in like some corporate high-end meeting, and they have this discussion. Hey, do we want to serve, exotic like steak on our cross-nation trip, or are we just going to have graham crackers? Well, they have a North Star to guide the discussion, and they have a North Star to make decisions on those questions that come up. Obviously, they're going to go with the cheaper option because that's how they get their clientele. So that's a fairly dramatic example, but that's the one that comes clearest to mind. I think even in Traction, they mentioned Southwest. And we all know brands that are known for something. And I think whatever you do, I think it's good in your life to have some type of brand awareness for yourself. Like, hey, what is something that you can easily think about to help guide decisions on? It's like in real estate. I mean, gosh, real estate's such a flooded market. But I like to think about, what does ease and convenience look like for my clients? Boom, period. That's it. I don't brand myself on being, hey, I'm the cheapest agent in town. I think like, hey, what does ease and convenience look like? So anything I do in my business, anything I'm trying to convey to my clients, if we're putting together a plan to sell their house, I'm like, what does easy look like to these people? Easy is going to look different depending on who I am working with. And I think the whole world in general is shifting towards ease and convenience. And I think that's a really good way to have a rooted North Star in your business. Think of Amazon. Think of a good example would be Blockbuster. Okay. When I was growing up, Blockbuster I could never imagine that they were going to go out of business, right? Until something easier and more convenient came along. And people will pay for that, by the way. Just as a little side quest, side tangent. Ease and convenience people pay for. Think of HelloFresh. Think of anything that you click on Amazon and it's there in a day. Like, you'll pay a little bit more for ease and convenience. But my point here is, whatever business you're in or whatever you're trying to accomplish, like, what is your North Star? Do you have something that you can turn to when you're not sure how to make a decision? So I think that's very, very important to have. And just look at other brands. See if there's if you can identify their North Star too, and you can just rip off and duplicate it or change it a little bit. I just made a post today about my tattoo that I recently got. I completely stole that from Nick Bare, Bare. He owns Bare Performance Nutrition. It's a different saying, but he has it on his wrist as like a gentle reminder. He has "Go One More" written on his wrist, and he's in that fitness world, so it aligns. But that's his brand, if you will, and that's his North Star, to always go one more. So I don't need to explain that; it's pretty self-explanatory. But good follow, by the way, if you're in the fitness nutrition space. Nick's built a really good brand by storytelling. Nick Bare is his name. Now, fifth hack, and this is probably the most important hack that I've learned and I literally use every day, and it's learn how to learn. And what we forget in life is that we have this wicked awesome supercomputer in our phones, and we have what's called the Google machine that we can go to. We have ChatGPT that we can go to. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'll just be transparent with you. When I thought about starting a podcast, I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I know what questions to ask. So I just went on Google. Top podcast software. Million hits come up. I personally like watching videos. So there's YouTube. I just go on YouTube. I'm like, okay, Riverside seems like a good software to podcast on. And then I just simply YouTube Riverside podcast software. And then top 10 pros for Riverside podcast software. And I would just watch that on 2x speed, and then I would keep my other hacks in mind. Like, listen, this doesn't need to be perfect. Even if you look at the shows from like episode 1 and 2, the clip art is different because I thought that first logo was good. Now I see like, hey, you can't see what the rise and grind on it. Let me just change it, right? So it's like these little things, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me Google best microphone for podcasts. Let me Google how to edit in Riverside software. Like, guys, I don't know how to do these things. I just know where to go to ask questions. This was really, really important when I first started my career with the Monarch Corporation, which is a big parent company based out of Medicine Hat. And I was thrown directly into the ocean. If you ask me, Ryan, do you know what an income statement is? I'm like, oh, I have no idea. Like, I literally just spent my entire life trying to get a golf ball into a golf hole. Like, I would have no idea what expense lines would be. I would have no idea if someone said, hey, can you talk to me about the cash flow of this? I'd be like, I have no idea. So what I did was I sat in these meetings, I nodded my head, I looked at people in the eye, and then I just literally had a notepad of things, of words that I didn't understand. I just wrote them down. It would look like I'm taking notes, but I'm like, things I do not know. And I would have 12 things at the end of that meeting that I had no clue about. And I would simply just go back to my office. I would Google each word, and I would watch a YouTube video on it. I'd make notes on it, and I would memorize it. And then the next time that meeting would come around, I'd be more informed. And I just did that for years. For years, I would do that. And you get exposed to a parent company that owns multiple holding companies, that has a ton of operating companies. Like, I'm at like this around the table with all these smart people, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? And I legitimately had to fake it. And the only way I could think of it, because I didn't want to go ask these people. Like, I didn't want to go ask my boss, hey, what does EBITDA mean? Like, I've never heard of that acronym before. I didn't even know it was an acronym. Like, what is this word? So like I literally had to hide behind like faking it. And I don't think that's good, by the way, but that was just the way it had to be. And I think when you learn how to learn quickly and then you stack it with these other hacks, you'll be able to figure out where to go a lot quicker. And sometimes that journey is figuring out where not to go, but at least you haven't burnt a bunch of time spending it. Then you can shift, you can adjust, you can pivot, if you will, and go on to the next thing, and always keep executing on the attempt to be better. That's all these hacks help you to do. So I'm gonna go through them. 60% rule: preparation is the killer of progress. Lean into fear. Remember, we're hardwired literally in prehistoric software here in our brains. Have a North Star, number 4. And then 5, learn how to learn. Like, literally, if you're struggling with something, guys, go on ChatGPT, type in like, hey, can you pull information about me? My name is Ryan Weary. Can you pull all the content on social platforms and then give me advice on what to do? Here are my problems. Like, another good one, learned this from Alex Hormozi before we wind up here. Alex Hormozi literally has a time block in his calendar every Monday morning to sit down with his 80-year-old self, so his 80-year-old self can give him help, give him opinions of his struggles. So how does he do that? Well, he tells ChatGPT to like literally comb the entire internet on his content and then project himself to 80 years old and then give himself advice, which is kind of cool. I've done it. It's quite interesting. But just be playful with questions in your mind and just plug it into the Google machine. We have so much access to information at our fingertips. And I think it would be, what's the right word? Not unrealistic, but it would just be sad if we didn't utilize it, to be honest. I think it's a really cool platform or era that we live in right now, to where we can be better with very minimal effort if you hold yourself accountable and if you continue to move towards action. So, first solo pod. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I got a really cool guest lined up, interviewing him in a couple days, and it'll be out next Friday. So please continue to reach out to me if you know someone that you think would fit on the Rise and Grind pod as a guest. I'd be more than happy to bring them on. And if you think you have a cool story that you want to share, reach out to me. We'll see you guys. Rise and Grind.